But first, the shocking stories of violence are piling up in Syria. In the latest massacre, 300 people were killed in Daraya, just outside Damascus. Opposition forces blame the Assad regime, although there is no independent evidence. And the United Nations says the conflict's getting worse, with civilians paying the highest price. Professor Gilbert Achcar is with the School of Oriental and African Studies in London. Gilbert Achcar, thanks very much for your time.
You're welcome. Hello.
The killings in Daraya, are they simply more of the gruesome carnage we've become unfortunately accustomed to in recent months, or do they mark a new phase in the conflict?
No, I don't think that the killings themselves mark a new phase. We've already seen horrible episodes of killing in the previous months. No, I mean the turning points were the change in the scale of the uprising, the fact that cities like Aleppo and even Damascus finally joined the uprising. So these are the real turning points in the events, much more than the scale of killings, which has been just building up gradually. Quite gradually until now, and there hasn't been any large-scale massacre the way you had in Syria in 1982 under Assad's father in the city of Hama, where, according to estimates, anywhere between 10,000 and 20 or 25,000 people were killed in 2 weeks. This is no longer possible actually today in Syria, because the situation turned into a civil war with armed resistance on the other side.
How do you see the conflict developing from here? Both sides resigned to a long war of attrition with many more dead, hundreds of thousands of refugees, both internally displaced people and people fleeing the country?
Yes, I mean, I'm afraid, but that's the unescapable kind of dilemma or situation you have in a country like Syria, where there is no possibility of the state apparatus getting rid of the leader as they did in Tunisia or Egypt. Syria is more in the category of Libya, a country where there is some strong organic link between the elite forces of the regime and the ruling group, the ruling family, one could say, actually, in those countries. And therefore they will be fighting till the end, or at least until the moment where they will really believe that the tipping point has been reached militarily and they are about to be defeated. Then we can see other processes unfolding, but until then they will fight. This is a civil war, and ultimately one of both camps will have to win. I can't see any possibility of some kind of compromise between the two.
To what extent is the scale of the fighting being fueled by the foreign fighters that seem to be pouring into Syria from outside, and also by the increasingly sophisticated weapons that the opposition now have at their disposal?
Well, the opposition has actually very little sophisticated weapon. I mean, using this term actually it would not be appropriate to whatever they have or they could display. And the imbalance is still huge between the huge firepower of the regime, let alone the fact that he has the best trained and equipped troops in the country, Assad, and the opposition, which is mostly a kind of ragtag army, in the same way, I mean, or very similar to that we have seen in Libya during the civil war there.
The Saudis and apparently the Qataris too have been supplying the rebels, the opposition, with surface-to-air missiles. This is an enhancement of their capability, if nothing like what the Syrian authorities themselves have. this does suggest, doesn't it not, that their ability to fight and the scale of the fighting will inevitably step up with many, many more casualties.
No, we haven't seen, as I said, I mean, no one has shown any evidence of any sophisticated kind of weaponry on the side of the opposition. The Saudis and the Qataris are sending money, not weapons, because they don't have channels to directly send weapons, or at least until now. Jordan refuses that their territory be used. The same with Turkey. And actually, what is happening is that the opposition is buying weapons on from the traffickers, and this comes mostly from Iraq, through the Iraqi border. That's what is going on in the country, and many of these weapons actually are weapons bought on the Iraqi market from, where you had a huge also amount of weapons in the hands of the people there. So that's basically what, and you keep having comments from all reporters just reflecting what the fighters of the opposition are saying. And you had the same comments in Libya, which is, I mean, give us better weapons, and this will be finished in a much shorter time. But the problem is that it can drag on because of this imbalance in military forces.
In this pessimistic scenario, can you see anything that might now lead to a breakthrough which might produce, at the very least, a ceasefire?
It's very difficult to tell, I mean, a breakthrough would mean, above all, a military breakthrough. If there is any for instance, exhaustion of the regime's forces, because the regime is mostly using its elite forces. That is this kind of private guard, if you want, of the ruling family. But the numbers of these troops are limited, and they are getting exhausted, whereas the opposition has the resource of being a popular war. I mean, unless we have some military turning point, or let's say also some decapitation of the regime in the form of this attack that recently killed some of the key figures of the apparatus. I can't see what I mean, how the situation would resolve. Even if you have ceasefires, they will be in the plural, as we have seen in other civil wars and civil situations of this kind, where you have repeated ceasefires, but they don't last long because they can't solve the real problem.
There is a proposal I see from Egypt for a four-way meeting with Saudi Arabia, Iran and Turkey. Could that succeed where the Arab League, for example, failed in the past?
Well, this kind of regional solution we have seen in Yemen, with the Saudis convincing their protege there, Ali Abdullah Saleh, the former president, to step down and transmit the power to the vice president. Okay, but this was mostly cosmetic at the beginning, although now it's taking a different shape, but it's not that easy. And basically that was a big frustration for the Yemeni revolution the young people were demonstrating every day, or the people, not only young actually, felt quite frustrated at that. Now the degree of violence that you had in Syria makes such a scenario with the Iranians or the Russian convincing Bashar al-Assad to step down and be replaced by anyone of his entourage is something that can't work. It can't work at all. I mean, short of a decisive defeat of one of the two camps, this won't be solved by as I said, some kind of compromise. I can't see that happening.
Gilbert Achcar, better leave it there. Thank you very much indeed.
Most welcome.